everybody. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Hollis School Board on September 3rd, 2025. I'm Carol Roy, Chair, and you can see my brethren are with me. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to school. It's September start. We're going to begin with some agenda adjustments. Rafi, I think you had one that you wanted to start with.
Report for the Capital Expenditure Advisory Committee for the first time.
Excellent. I'll add that to discussion and point to you. Excellent. Gina, Dot, did you have any?
I have none.
All right. We also are looking for any nominations, resignations, and correspondence.
We have none, but I did want to update everyone that we are essentially fully staffed with paras.
Oh, that's great.
We were able to hire everyone. We have one that we're keeping on board just because they're highly skilled and trained. And so we're going to allow them to do some training and then see about potentially releasing any remaining contracted paras.
Fantastic.
Amazing. Wait, so am I hearing this correctly? That we have all of one contracted para? Yay. Yay.
Yes.
Well done on negotiating that as a contract. Gina,
That's so exciting. Nice job.
it is. I know, we love to hear that.
Yeah.
Sarah Pruitt deserves a lot of credit. She went first.
Sarah.
Yeah,
thank you, Sarah.
absolutely. Good. Awesome. Good job, Sarah.
Gina, when you say they'll be doing some training, is that going to be exclusive to Hollis School District, or will
Correct.
that be else? Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Awesome. Well, check to that. All right, now we're going to move on to approval of minutes. I will take a motion to approve the Hollis School Board meeting minutes from August 13th, 2025 with the following amendments. Page 2, line 5, replace need with needed. Page 6, line 15, insert an opening paragraph before a third. Page 7, line 33, replace notable with notably. And page 8, line 18, replace discussion with discussing.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion? It seems so recent because that one was later in August.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
All right. Seeing no discussion, all those in favor? 500. Thank you. We also had some non-public meeting minutes from that same date. So I will take a motion to accept as presented the Hollis School Board non-public meeting minutes from August 13th, 2025.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Any discussion on that one? Seeing none, all those in favor? 500. Thank you. It is currently 6:06. I'm going to go ahead and open public input. It's a little bit early. We were scheduled for 6:15. Just to honor that, we'll definitely keep it open until at least 6:45 for that full 30 minutes. Are there any members of the public here today that would like to speak on any topics? Seeing none, we'll still keep it open if that changes. We're going to continue forward to our principals' reports from HPS and Hughes.
Okay, so you can see the enrollment breakout. Has been pretty stable since our last meeting. We had some add-on and some leave, but there was zero change per grade level, so that's nice and stable. All right, Picture Day is September 10th in both schools. That's a big day. Wear your best smile on that day.
Comb your hair.
Yes, comb your hair, please. Hollis Primary School has its open house on September 10th from 5:30 to 7. That's always a fun time to get to know the teacher and see the space, which is good. Hughes has the open house on the 17th from 5:45 to 7:30. All right, very exciting news. I don't want to steal anyone's thunder, but September 17th, the Enrollment Committee meets again at 3:30. This is going to be open to the staff as well. And we are still looking for another member at large. I'll just throw that plug out there. And
From the community?
From the community, yeah. And we are going to have a public forum, but I'm going to let Ann talk to that later. Some other exciting news.
She's like, let me have something.
I know. Oh, she's okay, so some exciting news. We are on social media. So we have Instagram accounts. Please follow us at HPS Hawks and then at Hughes Hawks. So some fun ways to kind of share the great things that we're doing in our schools each and every day. A new initiative for our HPS students is that on Monday morning, starting on the 8th, our students are going to start the day with recess outside, get a little bit of that weekend energy out before the instructional day starts with them, and that's going to allow our teachers to have their professional learning community meeting at that same time. So they'll be looking at student data and student performance, etc. So that'll be a great time for that. The Hughes staff, they participate in the same meetings, but they will have theirs at the end of the day. And so depending on the day of the week, as students go out to carpool, the students that are lingering for bus, they'll combine spaces and be supervised by our support staff. So that's some new changes in our schools, and then a ton of great professional development and learning opportunities for our teachers in our August days. We had CKLA training for our HPS teachers, along with our new 4th and 5th grade teachers. Safety committees met, student data was reviewed, classrooms were set up and ready to go, so that we had all smiles on our first day of school. So that's what I have.
This is a minor note, and I'm just wondering, when you look at the enrollment breakout,
Yep.
One of the things that's highlighted on that is a drop in speech services only, and there isn't actually any changes, but I'm just wondering why that specifically is highlighted on our enrollment update.
So we report out on when we have a student that comes for speech only, so they're not participating in our preschool program, but they are receiving services. But right now we don't have any that are just receiving speech
I
services.
see, so that might be something specifically that a pre-K student would be doing, would
Correct.
be a speech only service.
Correct.
Okay, and would we ever have a pre-K student that did occupational therapy services only?
No.
No. Is there a reason for that? Why would they maybe do speech only but not do?
Due to the classifications of identification for special education, occupational
Okay.
therapy doesn't fall in that criteria.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
My only other comment, because I asked this separately in an email, I think Hughes's photo day is the 19th. That was what
I thought it was the 10th, because all of our elementaries, I was under the impression that it was on the same day, because
Okay.
Geskis comes out one day for all 4 of our elementaries.
All right.
But
I'll let you sort that out with Candace.
and I know that we are slated to go to HPS on the 10th to get our photos taken.
Yeah.
And if we missed that, we were to go to Hughes afterward.
I don't know.
So, I don't know.
Okay.
So check your parents' square, everybody.
Right.
What I'm doing right now.
The guest
When they
gets
give you that.
hands on it. She's like, got it, I'm in.
Yeah.
It does say in the newsletter, school picture day, September 19th.
Okay. So I will verify because we
Trust
had a long
but verify.
conversation.
I know, we had a long conversation.
I mean,
it was
yesterday.
That came
Yeah.
out August 29th. I
Okay,
don't
so
know if
let's
anything
just-
has changed since then. That's what I'm looking at, the one that said August 29th.
It's a surprise picture day.
Pop-up pictures.
It's to get you to dress
Pictures
and look
as you
nice
dress.
for a whole month.
At least it's
We want an
consistent with the
authentic
email I
everyday
got, so
look.
I was like, okay, no.
So funny.
5 days ago.
But-
It is 29th, is 5 days ago. Wow.
What was
August
that?
just sounded a long time ago.
It
Oh,
did
it does.
sound a
That
long.
was just
So that is a fairly recent newsletter. Sorry, I'm like, well, that was back on August 29th.
So many things could have changed.
What is going on? So, yeah, okay.
I love you guys. This is fun. Awesome. Well, we
Same
will
as the
double check
19th.
on the Geskis stuff for you guys. Go ahead and just pay attention to your
Unless that was a
emails.
typo.
Gina will show up at the school every day, just
and
in
smile.
case. She and Dot will march in every day to get ready. Awesome.
Just for our new audience member, public input is open. If you
Dude, why are you taking my job? I'm just kidding. Take my job.
if you
Yes.
wanted to comment, you're welcome to. It is open.
I wanted to make sure we were done with the principal's
Great,
report
that's fair.
commentary. But yes, if you would like to come up, we can take your commentary now if you have anything to say for public input. Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. I'm sorry.
Okay.
She's good
Okay,
for
so
now.
this is the only period of time during the meeting where you can speak. So you would be able to talk until about 6:45. So I'm leaving it open for the 30 minutes. So you have a half hour to decide if you're going to talk.
No pressure.
Once we enter deliberations and discussion, the public input opportunity is closed. So just so you know. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. We look forward to hearing from you.
Yes.
Awesome. All right. So principals reports are good. You guys didn't have any other questions on that, correct?
No.
All right. Moving rapidly into the discussion. We're going to start with the MOU with Hollis Police Department. I was going to say HPD, Hollis PD, and it came out really early.
Sure. So this is
We're all a little punchy tonight.
we sign this annually and share it with the public. So this is also posted on the police department's website as well as ours, and it just shares the agreement we have between our school district and the Hollis Police Department. So it's really just informational. It has not changed from last year, other than one of the trainings that was listed last year is no longer available, so it's not listed this year.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think even the contacts are the same.
Yeah. No, it's
Perfect. Did anybody have any questions or comments for Gina on the MOU?
Just curious, was it always SRCPO? Is SRO and SRCPO the same?
they're similar, not the same. So the co-op has always had an SRO, school resource officer. The Hollis School District had the police department wrote a grant to have a community resource officer. So it's just a little bit different, a little bit more outreach to families, and some community outings, things that are required, like the coffee with the officer type things. Those are more on the plate of the community resource officer. But other than that, it's pretty much the same functionality for Hollis. As long as we've had one, it's been a community resource officer. So you see the exact same language posted for co-op, but there says SRO.
Does Brookline have a resource officer like
They
that
do
in
not.
theirs?
No.
Okay. I've never asked that question, actually. Excellent. All right, so our next item is, hey, look, Anne, it's your turn. Enrollment committee.
So Gina and I are very excited because we had a 3-hour
3.5
meeting.
hour.
Was it 3.5 hours?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, it was late. It was a long time. It was supposed to be 2 on Tuesday, but it was very, very productive. So that was with the Enrollment Committee's Executive Committee. So that had Gina, our superintendent, had Lance Fenimore, our facilities director, this principal is Vicki, myself, Brad Prescott, who's been working with us very closely from Banwell Architects, and then our engineers from Fuss and O'Neill, Amy, I don't know her last name, and her associates. So we got together and we reviewed 5 drafts of architectural plans that Banwell has put together for us, and that was based upon some extensive work that Brad did with Principal Isbicki, Gina, and Lance Fenimore. And so he had those drafts, and he had already shared them with Fuss and O'Neill, and they put together some high-level civil engineering plans based on the site. And so that basically entailed things like thinking through where parking would exist, and that was based on the number of parking spaces that had already been determined were needed for the school now and projecting forward. Placements of playgrounds that are possibilities, traffic flow, if I haven't said that already, locations of propane tanks, outdoor classroom,
Whether or not we had to move a stream.
Yes, and what kind of, yes.
I didn't know you could do
Among the things we discussed, right? Yes, do we move a stream? Possibly where wetlands delineations are, et cetera. So we spent a lot of time looking over that site work with Fuss and O'Neill and trying to understand that, because that's something that we had never discussed previously with the architectural consultant that we worked with. We never had an opportunity to have those conversations because we had to go through Warrant Article 6 and get funding and so forth. So one of the things, he had even said, we never really discussed like what site work might look like. So there were those footprints that were given with those drafts, and then rough site plans were put together to go with that. We talked through all of them. We felt it was best to narrow down the number before sharing with a wider audience. So we, through some very cooperative collaboration, we determined that 2 of those drafts really weren't bringing forward. And we really were all in agreement on that very easily. We all saw the same things. And a lot of that had to do with location of the entrance, things like potential excavation and, extensive work, huge retaining walls that would be very expensive. So we just thought those just looked like, even though the square footage may be similar, they might be huge site work projects and also just not work as well with the interior design as the other ones. So we considered several criteria. So we came down to 3 plans that we thought we would like to bring forward to this wider audience. So we're going to start with, of course, the enrollment committee, and that was a meeting already scheduled for September 17th at 3:30 here. No, not here, sorry. We're in Hughes, at the Hollis Primary School. And those meetings, by the way, are always open to the public, always, and they're posted, and we'd love to have people come. But Mrs. Vicky is really going to encourage her staff to attend should they want to give some feedback, and Brad will be going over those plans. She's also going to mention in her newsletter that this is going to be taking place, in case, again, if there are any parents who would like to attend and take a look. And also give feedback. However, we are going to have a public forum that night because Brad travels, quite a bit to get to us. And so since he'll already be here on the 17th, we're going to do the first of what we anticipate will be several public forums before we come to the town in March to give some information to a wider audience. So we just finished some work on a flyer for that. I just saw the last email, so that's going to get printed out. I'm going to put those around town to try and advertise to a wider audience. Flyers are going to go out at the September 10th open house at Hollis Primary School. They're also going to go home at Hughes. I'm going to be doing the same thing I did with information. Like I'm going to be stopping by the preschools, passing stuff out. I'm going to put things up, Marketplace Diner on their, information board and all around town, library, etc. So people know and we can get some more feedback. Also at that meeting, we put together a schedule of what we see happening for the rest of this month as far as continuing on with some more high-level determinations of things like what might be potential costs. And so we're hoping by October 1st, when we all meet again here, that we'll be able to come to you with some revised plans based on that feedback, should that be necessary, and like some high-level ideas on cost. But keeping in mind those will just be high-level estimates because things are always changing. But we're trying to get that information out. Did I miss anything?
I would just say that at the enrollment committee, staff feedback, at the public forum, that's also the opportunity to ask questions and make comments, because anything that we pull from there, we're going to look to see, do we need to incorporate something different? Do we need to make some changes? And then any final changes from there will go to the construction process of looking at the high level numbers.
And I do want to add also, I did say the time, so sorry. That actual meeting is going to be again at 7 p.m. because Hughes has open house that ends at 6:45 that night. We're actually hoping that will draw parents like, I'm already here, I might as well pop in. But we do have tours of the building that'll start at 6:15. We're going to do them staggered with different people. So some parents might miss out on that, but we're open to discussion of maybe afterwards, taking some parents who haven't had an opportunity to tour. I would imagine that those parents would have already seen the school and know, but I know that's something we would be open to should it be needed.
Quick question for you, Ann. You mentioned that you guys are narrowing it down to different plans. Is that really more of footprint, flow, and site work, or is that actually talking about different configurations of the expansion itself, meaning like it can accommodate this many students versus
Yes.
this many students, both,
All
all
of them are accommodating the same criteria that we've been setting in our meetings. So
Okay.
the same projected number of students, the same number of, classrooms, program needs. It's like they have an extensive document that they've gone
Okay.
through together to go through wants and needs and what is needed for the physical space of the building and what is needed on the site to accommodate
that.
everything.
Gotcha.
So yeah, all those criteria are consistent. It's just how it's put together.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying on that. And just to piggyback on what Gina said, Not, this is a project that will affect all taxpayers, not just people with children in the schools. So if you have neighbors who don't have children in the school district anymore, please let them know about these meetings, because their feedback is just as valuable, especially if they've been out of the school district for a while and don't realize the condition change that has happened very rapidly over the last 6 years.
I'd like to reiterate, we've been talking about this vacant seat that we've had now since June for a community member who does not have children in this school. So I would like to just reiterate, we would love to have a permanent member of the committee who fits that criterion. So,
Well, maybe we can put
Email
that
me.
out on our
I'll
Instagram page. Our new
and
social media.
We'll say it at the public forum. I'll make that announcement as well.
For sure.
Hopefully, somebody will step forward.
So, thanks for clarifying the time and the date. So, September 17th, 7 p.m. at HPS.
At HPS.
At HPS.
And the enrollment committee meeting is right before it. What time?
The enrollment committee meeting is at 3:30 in HPS in the cafeteria, and we run exactly an hour.
Okay.
We don't go over.
My question to some extent, and obviously I was at the last enrollment committee meeting as a citizen, but is it possible to get, probably at the forum, I would say, just a clear delineation of what those characteristics are? Only because, I think about the range of possibilities that were discussed at the last committee meeting and that we all chatted about in the last board meeting, and I think it was still unclear to me where those are, because it's a range, right? And then now it sounds like it's not a range, so I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, so we're looking at needs. The wants are certainly there, but it just seems like we need to focus on the needs.
Sure.
But all of the documents will continue to be posted. We have a QR code on the flyers that goes directly to the enrollment page with all the details about it. And I believe what we're going to do at the forum is have an additional QR code that goes directly to the plans that we're looking at.
Okay.
So.
I think that maybe we could do a slide that just does a bullet points of so where Brad said all of these meet these criteria. We can just do a quick.
Yeah, it's
very, very, very easy to read.
I
Yeah.
feel like it's
I'll
an
do
8-page spreadsheet, which is ever so slightly overwhelming to some.
Yes, we don't want to do that. I meant the summary page
down
that
to
you made for us.
square footage for that specialist.
Right.
She might be interested in knowing square footage we determined. But yeah, so we could probably pull out what more people might be kind of focused in on.
Yeah, and just to be clear on what I'm thinking of is at the last enrollment committee meeting, there was square footage A, B, C overall. And that was where I was a little confused as to so this was in the want category, this was in the need category, but I wasn't sure where you guys ended up marking onto that. And if that's in those sheets, that's fine.
Yeah, no, and you'll see when the 3 that we narrowed down, there are there's one that kind of pulls in some of the wants, but yet the overall square footage of the new space is actually really pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
So the question comes down to the design and all the other spaces, and does it make sense? Because you'll see that the questions we have are grade levels being clustered together really helps collaboration and supervision and all of that good stuff. What are the priorities of the building?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the rich discussions that we had yesterday for 3.5 hours. And so some designs were just, we said probably not, like Ann said, for a variety of reasons, but a huge deciding factor was, does it function for our building, our needs? It might be a beautiful building, but does it work for us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have 2 questions. The first is, have the teachers given feedback in this process prior to this upcoming meeting, or will this be the first time getting teacher feedback about potential layouts?
Well, we have a teacher representative on the enrollment committee who has been there faithfully every single meeting.
Great.
To her credit, and that's Helen Bruce. So that has always been there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I think that, Mrs. Vicky kind of represents their needs as well, as is Ms. Sayer, the senior secretary. But as far as to a wider audience. Like we said, it's always been open, but
Yeah.
she's really going to encourage people, please, if you were going to go to one, go to this one.
Gotcha.
So for many of them, it will be probably the first time they've given serious thought to it, other than probably chatting with their colleague, whether that be at lunch or wherever.
Yep, okay.
So,
Are there plans to stream or record the meeting, the public forum on the 17th, kind of like we did
we
with
should.
the previous?
Just like we did with the information meeting, yes, we should.
My other question is...
Sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt you.
no,
I thought
No,
that's totally
that's
fine.
good.
It was something that we have talked about, right, is that Hollis is a desirable community, and we are proud of that, and that's why people move here, and that's why we are having increasing enrollment, and also the idea that if we build a new addition to the school, that potentially makes us an even more desirable community with even more people moving in. And I don't know if Brad has are there processes for how do you think about that? Like, there's obviously some flexibility, and how do you make this a space that could continue to grow,
So
but...
all of the plans that we have flex space classrooms. So there's a flex space classroom for the 2nd and 3rd grade, one for kindergarten, 1st grade. There's one that could easily be used for a preschool that's on the smaller side. We've thought through that part, because as we know, like, things shift from year to year. Like right now we happen to have a small 1st grade class relative to the others, but we have a large kindergarten class that we weren't expecting. Things shift from year to year. So those 3 flex classrooms are really helpful. Also, we are doing what we've been talking about consistently. This came up yesterday. Like, the library is big enough to be the size of 2 classrooms. We will put the infrastructure in place, like we did with the Learning Commons, where there are 2 doors and there's a space in the middle. So should the day come that we have a bubble, a partition could easily be constructed there, and now all of a sudden we have a classroom. So that all allows for some good flexibility. You're not supposed to be thinking, the reality is you can't really think past like 15 years, because anything could change. Enrollment could drop precipitously, and then what do we have? So it really is, it's all a crapshoot. However, we're hoping to insulate against some of that with those flex spaces. And that is a concern that was brought up, and can't remember whether or not it was the information meeting or the town meeting or both. It all comes together, but it was brought up. And the reality is, in the meantime, are we going to keep the preschool in the hallway, and have larger class sizes and have administrators in storage closets? Like, are we going to continue doing that? We really can't. It's not functional the way that it is now. We'll lose teachers if we stay this way. So if we want to continue to have a nice school where our kids are happy, don't have a choice.
So when you say flex classroom, it's a classroom that could be used for it could be used for preschool or for kindergarten. It could be used for 1st grade or for 3rd grade.
So we're planning locations, like Gina said. Mrs. Bickey has noted, and we all agree because it makes sense, that when grade levels are able to be close in proximity to one another, it encourages collaboration. It's also great for safety. We're talking about small children, so if they're all supposed to be out to lunch, nobody should be in that hallway, right? They're all supposed to be in environmental science, nobody should be in that hallway, right? So everybody knows where the kids are and where they're supposed to be. That's incredibly important with small children. And this is going to be a sprawling building, it's just the way it has to be because of fire codes and the age. So we're thinking of those things. So these classrooms that we're thinking of as flex classrooms, yes, are located in areas where they could easily be close to one grade level or another. So
Okay.
Exception to that would be if we had to do what we wouldn't want to do and separate a library. Well, that's like a worst case scenario situation, and that would be a time when we'd be going to this process all over again and finding a new solution.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Absolutely.
And just to follow up on the recording, so that is the same night as the co-op board meeting. So that meeting will be streamed, but we can record this and post it the next day. We just can't stream it.
Okay. I actually had one other follow-up because you mentioned the needs category and that we'd set guidance and whatnot. Something that came up in the last board meeting was our projection numbers are off significantly. Like, we're 2 years ahead of where the projections were.
To be clear, they are not our projection
No,
numbers that are
you're
off.
correct.
It is NESDEC.
Yes.
Got it.
But that brings up the.
I wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
is
But that
very
brings up the
important.
secondary question, which is how are we handling and what are we doing with that projection discrepancy? Like, because obviously, when this all started, we expected the projection to look a particular way, and now it's not looking that way. It's looking
Sure.
faster.
Yeah. So, because most districts in the state of New Hampshire are experiencing a declining enrollment. Certainly that's not us. And so last year, in addition to the fall NASDAQ, I did a spring update to see how our numbers would shift. And so we had a shift at that point. As soon as October 1st hits, we're going to have our beginning of year enrollment data that I'll submit. And so we'll get updated projections. So they are utilizing their tools with updates from like real data from us and the town, et cetera. I talk about how many developments are being built. I give them all of that information. And then we look to trends as well that we're hearing. We look to see how many referrals we have coming our way from, rising 3-year-olds, et cetera. And so we're going to continue to potentially make some shifts. What we can't do is build a Taj Mahal thinking that
No.
our enrollment's going to keep going up and we're going to have 10 sections per grade level, because that's not reasonable for anybody really. So I think we're, and trust me, that was probably one of the hardest conversations we had. How do we build for enough but not overbuild? But then, so I think we had a very lengthy discussion about that, and we, looking at the spring NASDAQ and where we are right now, I feel comfortable with what we're doing.
Okay.
That's the best I can say. I feel comfortable.
Yeah, yeah.
We're also trying to be reasonable in what we ask of
Right.
taxpayers too.
Absolutely.
And Brad shared with us, and just correct me if I'm remembering this wrong, but there's a typical formula that they usually do, and they usually involves taking like what do we have now and adding 5%. And that's what you plan for when you're planning for, say, for example, large gathering places, and when you multiply by parents and so forth, like what's the capacity that we need to have in these larger spaces, because we can figure out numbers of classrooms in other ways. So, we're doing the best we can.
Yeah,
with
no,
it.
these are
Yeah.
just, normal, like, I'm a very math statistical person. Like, when the
Absolutely.
model
It's not
changes,
sure,
it
yeah.
changes, it's
Right.
nobody's fault. And I think that was my only follow-up, which is like, okay, so we're gonna put more input into the model, we'll get some other projections out, I get that. And I appreciate that, like, sometime around October, we'll start injecting. My follow-on question is, are we concerned about getting the new projections before we adopt one of these? Or are we comfortable enough that, yeah, we've got enough information, we can probably move forward without it really being a concern?
We're going to have to move forward,
Okay.
to be honest, because the Warren article that passed asked us to provide very specific drawings. We're not going to throw out a number of X number of $1 million and we want an expansion. No, it's going to be very clearly articulated
Yeah.
exactly what we're building to. And really, when they return those projections to us mid-October at best, it's really just going to confirm
Yes.
what we already, that's my hope, that we're
Yeah.
already planning for. But we had to set that number, I would say,
It's in July?
it was like, July 1st.
June, I think.
Could have
it
been
was.
June.
Talked about it because it was
Yeah,
in a meeting.
so
and
that
came up with
happened a
number.
while ago, and everything that we've done since then has been based on the number that we selected.
Yeah, so we've been
we're
locked and
beyond the
loaded
point.
basically at this point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
Pot committed, as they say.
Thank you. That's all really important stuff, and while I know the enrollment committee will cover some of that, a lot of this is probably going to come up of the, like, okay,
No, it's good.
Yeah.
You're giving us practice for.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you practice.
No, it's good. It's good. We talked about that before you joined the board. You're good about that. You know the questions.
Any other comments, questions for Anne and the enrollment committee?
I just wanted to say thank you to both of you that this is a hard, shoot it through the moving target, and we're aware of it. I think everyone who's been close to it is aware of it, but we're also aware that we are in bad straits down at the HPS, and we need to do this. So I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Echo that. All right, we had an agenda adjustment at the top of the meeting to have an update from RAF on the
it's called Capital Expenditure Committee, is that?
I think the full title is Capital Expenditure Advisory Committee.
Got it.
CEA. See? I saw it written down as CEAC someplace.
Really need to come up with something snappier.
Maybe
That's right.
we need a quicker title.
Do you want to just refresh folks listening what this is? Because this is a new committee.
Yes.
This was your first meeting. So if you don't mind starting kind of with
Yes.
that before you give us your recap.
Yes, I will provide some context. So there was a petition warrant article back at the March meeting, and
Town meeting, right?
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
thank you for specifying the March town meeting. It was number 20, I believe. It was, and the purpose of it was to kind of gather the capital expenditures across the various spending entities, because we have the town, we have the co-op, and we have the Hollis School District. These three that kind of work on their own to figure out the budgets together with budget. Each school district has their own budget committee, but there wasn't a lot of cross interaction between these between these three groups. There was some, but not like an official gathering where information was kind of being distributed across all three. So the idea was, let's have that set up so that we can then get a better sense for the big expenditures coming down the line. So take the existing debts that have already been voted on in the past, but then also to get a sense of what is coming down the pipeline, and put that all together to kind of inform these various entities and also inform the taxpayers, so that when it comes time for people to vote on various warrant articles, they have a better understanding of what's to come, not just what is going to happen on that particular voting day amongst those warrant articles. So for this committee, it was voted on in March, but more recently the select board approved the creation of the committee, so that's why it's starting now in September. It involves a member from Hollis School District, Co-op School District, each budget committee for each of those, a select board representative, and 2 residents to try and get various stakeholders. And so because it's kind of starting a little bit late, the current plan is to do about 2 meetings per month. It seems like it's going to be typically on Monday nights. The next meeting is going to be September 15th at 6:30 p.m. The chair that was selected is going to be Mark Cost from the Hollis School District Budget Committee. And he has a bunch of experience working on this type of thing from his previous work in the previous town that he lived in. And so that's kind of the context. And then in terms of what we covered last night, the figuring out the goal and what we want the outputs to be for this committee. The big picture is higher level coordination and then prioritizing and scheduling of new debt obligations. The first kind of homework for the group is kind of to be gathering the existing debt information so that we can kind of bring it all together in one place. And then I think we'll since we have these like 2 bi-weekly meetings kind of set up, we'll probably keep building upon that. And I think there's anything else. Being that we are a little bit late in getting started up, it's probably going to be a challenge in terms of like having a complete, having like completion for this committee by the time of the March meeting. Nonetheless, I think the goal is to be able to have as much information as we can get out to the voter by that culmination of budget season.
Excellent. And I just want to emphasize, if I may, Raf, no other entity gets to tell the Hollis School District what our priorities are. No matter what they discuss, if we have to move forward with something, we we may choose to do that as the board. That was a huge concern at the town meeting in March, that it would be that all of a sudden, you know, co-ops choices are affecting ours and vice versa and things like that. That is not the case. This is really just for, as Raf said, informational sharing purposes. So we can really look out for the Hollis taxpayer and what they're being hit with burden-wise all at once. Because I know there are a lot of different projects, obviously HPS, giant, but there are a lot of other projects that are brewing at the same time.
Please forgive me, I just heard you saying something that I know you know, but I think that not everybody else. I just want to clarify. You said Mark Cost was from, you said the Hollis School District Budget Committee, and I just want to make sure anybody listening, it's just the Hollis Town Budget Committee. I think it was just a blip. But just for everybody else.
He still has an infinite home.
It's just the town, yes. I mean, hey, you're here and you're doing all this stuff with the infinite home and two more. Yes, no, so just, it's the town budget committee
Yes,
who's running it.
Thank you
Yep.
for the clarification.
I had two questions, actually.
I'll allow it.
Because because it's the first meeting, right? So the first question is, are the meetings considered public?
Yes, it's all the same rules with quorum.
Okay.
everybody's
And that
known.
means there'll also be minutes posted somewhere for anyone who wants to deep dive.
Yes.
Okay.
And this is a town hall.
Yes.
Okay.
Community room, I assume?
I see you're familiar.
I've been there a couple times.
Do they allow members from the public to speak and ask questions? Will that be a part of it?
Yes, we haven't. I think the first agenda is still being put up, but I'm sure that it's some stuff.
Cool.
Thank you.
Speaking of public input, coming a time to close it here. Anybody, last chance? Please come come right up to the podium. Just state your name and where you live.
My name is Stacy Esposito. I live on Pierce Lane. We just moved from Brookline.
Welcome.
Thank you. I was just wondering if anybody's talking about, or if you have an idea around if the EFA expansion law is going to impact our budget and resources, and kind of, are people having these conversations, especially with this potential expansion? Not to kind of hit it right off the bat, but
Well, glad I called for last one. Kidding, Stacy. Welcome to the meeting and welcome to town. Do you have information on that?
For listeners, that's the education freedom accounts.
Sure. Thanks. So we will budget as we typically do. EFA families receive more from the state than we receive for reimbursement per pupil. That continues to be a concern. There are some things that are not direct budget, but state contributions to special education costs, that there's concerns that has been declining over the years, which would mean an increase to, so our budget stays the same, but it's a matter of the tax impact for the individual voters that would go up. And so the burden certainly is shifted from the state to local. I think the other kind of piece that is challenging, I guess, is a way to put it, is there are home education students and then there are EFA home education students, and they don't have the same access to our programming. And we have the ability to charge EFA students if they come, let's say, for band, but we don't know who they are. So it makes it challenging to follow through on what we can do because there's no list of families. So it's just, I think we need to sort through the logistics a little bit more. My hope would be we would sort through the logistics more before it continues to expand, but I'm not up at the state, so we will do what we need to.
The other thing that I will add is that the New Hampshire Supreme Court just found that the way that the state is funding education is unconstitutional, and that the cuts to both general funding and special education funding are unconstitutional. And so my understanding is that has happened in the past, and once And then the question is, then what does the state do about it? And in the past, my understanding is that the judiciary then says, okay, you need to do this, right? And that has happened in the past. At this point, that we haven't gotten there yet. There's just been this determination that it is unconstitutional how it is being funded or not funded. And so hopefully that also creates change in funding, but nothing that we have any influence over, except as individual citizens to follow up with representatives about that.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thanks, Stacy. Appreciate you.
Yep.
Any others? Yeah, come on up.
Come on up.
Just took them a little bit to warm up to us.
Less of a comment, more of.
Can you just say your name and your?
Oh yes, I'm Winnie Lee. I'm also on Pierce fan, but I've been here for almost 10 years. Yeah. Yes, so we're a neighbor. Back to your question about why are you thinking the school the size of the enrollment size of the Hollis Primary School will increase? I think you might want to prepare a more detailed answer for the meeting that you guys are talking about, because I can see from the public they may have questions like the federal policy, right? The one big beautiful bill has that privacy school donation policy as tax credit, and that may spur the increase in enrollment of private school, and it may affect our community, especially the Hollis community, right? So you may want to better prepare, like this is how our projection works, and here is why we think our enrollment will continue increase. And I can think one potential answer for this is the potential universal pre-K, that we may need a larger preschool cohort down the road. Just one thing.
Thank you for your commentary.
I will add, just to respond to that, what I don't know about EFAs in terms of individual families, I can identify by zip code the total dollars that are going to families in that zip code. So I can tell you that the dollar amount that's going to Hollis residents is small. And we also report out on how many Hollis residents submit for home education, and that continues to be small. So we haven't seen a major shift, whereas some communities saw a huge shift, which with hundreds of thousands of dollars of resident students going elsewhere. So we did look at that to try to figure out, are we going to be hit with a declining enrollment for these other? We could continue, who knows? I can't predict the future, but just based on all these trends and watching the numbers, that was part of our coming to a number.
Your process.
Yeah.
Yes. Excellent. Well, thank you both. Welcome, neighbors, to Pierce Lane. At this time, I'm going to officially close public input at 6:51 p.m. Thanks for that capital expenditure committee update, Ralph. Expenditure advisory committee update, Ralph. We're going to move into deliberations, and these are a lot of policies that we're going to go through. As always, there is a policy memo that outlines what all of them are, but this board prefers to take on each in discussion and vote. So that is how we will do it, even though there is a policy memo as part of the deliberation packet. So at this time, I will take a motion to accept the first reading of policy JFAB, admissions of tuition and non-resident students, as presented.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Discussion.
So, this is the only policy this month that there is a significant change, just to sort of ground people in what this is, right? This is for admissions of tuition and non-resident students. So basically what it is for is tuitioning in the children of people who work for the school. We don't have a ton of staff that take advantage of this. We do have some. There's more at the co-op that take advantage of this policy there. The change that we are suggesting is the amount that we charge for tuition. And so previously we had charged 25% of our district of Hollis, Brookline, and the co-op. We were the first to initially come up with this policy, and we're just sort of ballparking it when this was originally created, and sort of guesstimated 25% that would recoup our expenses when this policy was created in 2012. When the co-op adopted this policy, they did a little bit more definitive math, and what they found is that to recoup expenses, it was more accurate to charge 50% of tuition cost. Brookline's policy, when they had enacted this policy, their classrooms were really bursting, and they felt like they really sort of needed to disincentivize people from taking advantage of this policy because of their, because they were bursting at the seams. And so they had set their tuition reimbursement at 75%. I don't think we didn't feel like on the policy committee that 75% was reasonable. We felt like it is reasonable to be trying to recoup our losses, not our losses, that's not the right word, recoup our expenses, and that it sounds like that is the 50% number. And then also had talked about it does often, that we are sort of trying to, when we can, have our policies be in alignment across, districts. I will say, personally, I do feel sort of loath to enact a policy that legitimately will, for the people that do use this policy, it does legitimately kind of notably increase their expense, for having their student come to school here. And so part of me, I really hesitate for that reason. And also we are at a point where we are really bursting at the seams. And also we are at a point where we are having to really think about expenses. And so I think I don't want to speak for other people, but I think generally that was sort of the feeling in general on the policy committee. Yeah, I'm happy to talk more specifically if people have questions about it.
I don't know if you can answer this, Jess. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask Gina.
Yeah, please.
Is it possible, if we were to approve this with the 50%, for those who are currently tuitioning in, because we just scale it so that just okay.
Yeah, so when
great.
an employee makes a request to have their children attend Hollis schools, we enter into a contract. So the contract is for the full year. So this would not impact any students currently enrolled until we have an adoption of the policy with a new language. So realistically, it would go into effect next school year.
Could we even do something, though, to help those people budget who may have been planning on doing this long term? Could we do something like you're already grandfathered in, so next year when it's supposed to be 50%, you'll be doing 30, and then the following year it'll be 37, and that, you see what I'm saying? Like, could we do something that's could kind of scale people up so they don't all of a sudden have to come up with a surprise?
Or just grandfather them in?
So this is certainly up for the policy committee to reflect upon, but we do enter 1-year agreements and the requests have to come annually. So we're not guaranteeing that there's, kindergarten to 6th grade continued enrollment. So I don't know that we could guarantee a price point either. And every year our per pupil expenditure changes. It's a really fun calculation of the DRA. And so,
Yes, I read section 3 of the policy.
Yeah, so even if the percentage might stay the same, if a new bond was adopted, the actual per pupil expenditure can vary quite a bit.
Okay.
But the policy committee can have fun.
You know how many people are actually doing this, and you have faces and names to go with that,
Right.
whereas for
How
us
many-
it's theoretical.
Sorry.
It's okay, I'm done. That's
How
it.
many are doing this in the district right now?
I knew you were going to ask that question. I'm trying to consider those that have exited the district. I would say less than 10, maybe more than one hand,
Okay.
somewhere around there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to remember
Yeah.
myself. Okay.
There are more students that use this at the co-op. Co-op has the 50% tuition reimbursement, and Gina has said it does not seem like 50% is a disincentive to people, that because it is more used at the co-op, even though they currently have a higher reimbursement requirement.
And they, forgive me because I don't know kind of the back side of this, we know when we get requests, we look very closely at, is there room for that student even to come in? And
Correct.
at HPS, there's generally not, but there are exceptions, of course. But when we're looking at what you just were mentioning, that it's not it doesn't disincentivize them. Oh, shoot, now I kind of lost my train of thought. I was trying to give a little background. on
Are
it.
you asking about looking at enrollment? I mean, we still look at the same things.
Yeah.
It's just a different consideration because you're not looking at a third grade class. You're looking at, every student selects their own 7 classes. So we're not guaranteeing that you're going to get everything that you want. So if we only run, let's say, one section of AP chemistry, which I might argue is one of the best classes, we have limits that are actual legal limits that we can't go beyond the 24. So I can't guarantee that you would get that class, but you can submit a request for courses, and then generally between the number of different types of science classes, different types of math classes, you'd be able to have enough credits and be
You're
able to
guaranteeing
graduate.
an education, not
Correct.
what they would individually get.
So I guess now I remember the piece I was going to mention was it talks in this policy about their district of residence. Is their district of residence paying the other half of the tuition, or the parents getting reimbursed their 50%? How does that?
That is up to them.
So
to
they go
decide.
negotiate that solely with their districts?
So far, we have yet to have a district say, "What a great idea! Let me give you money
Yeah, it doesn't seem like
to
that
send
would be
your
something.
child somewhere else."
That's all I was trying to figure
Yeah.
out is how that side works, because if it's working, I don't know. I was just
Under
trying.
this-
I just don't understand.
Yeah,
I'm
no.
not familiar with that side of it.
Don't touch the third
Under
rail.
this employee category, we have yet to find a school district that's going to fund that. But if someone's looking to send their child somewhere other than their local public school, they're probably looking at private schools, which is running on average at the low end our per pupil expenditure. So this is 50% of that. So it's quite a bit less expensive than comparable public school or private school. Excuse me.
I guess one question I had is, if, for example, and I don't expect this to be a common thing, but if, for example, there was an employee who wanted to have 2 or 3 of their children in the district, that 50% applies to all 3.
Yeah, so 50%
Does
times
that
3.
get to be a bit of a concern for us on the financial side? Or is the 50% enough of the adjustment versus 25 that we're not as concerned?
Correct. So,
Okay.
so one thing it does not include is transportation. So transportation, we're not looking to kind of recoup
Yeah.
those funds. And if we have to have a 4th grade classroom with a teacher, we have to have that classroom whether we have 16 students or 22 students. And so adding another student doesn't necessarily equate, depending on the circumstances, to the full 100% of the tuition.
That's the language that Jessica was using with recoup, like expenses.
Yeah.
I think for anybody listening at home who may not have read this entire document, as riveting as it is,
Ooh, Anne brought the jokes.
but
today.
very fun. Hey, look, we're all trying to get through the night. Every night, right? Like, we're all doing it. It is important to note that it does say in here that we do not pay the cost of special education needs. That is paid by the home district. So I don't want anyone to think that somebody is bringing their student here who has particular expensive needs and that we're taking that on and they're only paying 50%. That's, if they're not a resident, we aren't financially responsible for that.
And yes, thank you for bringing that up. And you just mentioned transportation. There is nothing in here that mentions that. I know is there another policy that mentions that this does not go toward transportation? Does it say it? Did I miss it?
Yeah, it's in number 4.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. Well, I think, is that only where it is? Oh, in the above 4. Nope.
It says it will not provide transportation to any non-resident students. So that applies for all the circumstances.
Sorry, I was looking at
section 2.
Oh, number 4.
Number 4, not Roman numeral 4. Thank you.
It's a lot of force.
Too many 4s.
Yeah.
Maybe we change those to letters?
That's fair. We don't usually.
I'm looking
use-
out to help
that's-
everybody else.
We don't usually use Roman numerals, so I will accept that note as a formatting comment.
Why Roman numerals in this policy?
It's a
Just
great
happen
question.
that
I
way?
don't have a good answer for you.
Because that's where it was before.
Yeah.
All right.
But maybe
Yeah,
we
it was
actually
written in
do switch
2012,
that.
that's
Yeah.
why.
I do think we should change that because
Yeah, 2012, I guess we were fancier. We had analog watches back then.
What have you guys been having for food and drink tonight? Like,
My time.
All right, go ahead. Raph, you have commentary.
I
Sorry.
have a question on the admission request cutoff of May 15th. I'm just curious if an employee gets hired like late in the game, going to add a class kind of situation, if they would still be able to make the request if that's if they get hired after the May 15th, and maybe that's covered by, there's the word should, the employees should submit requests for admission, so maybe that gets covered there.
Yeah, I mean, have we entertained requests after May 15th? Yes.
Yes.
But we could decline based on that, or we could, and by we, I mean the board can choose, whatever they want to do, and we'll go from there.
Excellent. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the first reading of policy JFAB, admissions of tuition and non-resident students as presented? 5-0. Thanks for the work on that.
Thank you, yes.
I have a quick clarification question. Seeing as how we didn't make any changes to this, as far as I could tell, is there anything that prevents us in this meeting from adopting it and getting it out of the way?
We did make change.
We
Did
did.
we?
She's updating things.
Well, this count, we didn't make any changes here today, but we presented significant changes to the policy. I guess what Jonathan is saying, when do we just say we're first read and adopt?
Yeah, there's a lot of policies we read and we provide feedback and
Yeah.
we make recommended changes and the policy committee comes back and gives us a new draft or something. There's nothing in this that happened on today. And I know I'm comfortable with it, but I wasn't sure how it works
So
procedurally.
generally on first read, we don't, unless it's a policy that's standard that we just bring back every year.
Sure.
And it's like we changed a date on it.
Yeah,
When there is a lot of new information that has been added to the first read of this being brought back, so obviously this is an existing policy.
Yep.
So it's our first read with all of those changes. We wouldn't do that. We would bring it back for at least a second read, and then at our next meeting where this is brought forth by the policy committee, you can ask to make that motion if you would like, and then at the discretion of the board, we can decide how to proceed. I think, Jessica, you just wrote down at least a couple of questions and notes on that policy, so.
Yeah, I will also say I feel okay having this go one more month because because it does feel, I do think that this is the right change to make, and also I had to really think about it.
No problem.
You know what I mean? So, and also I do think it's good to just talk about when can we do that. Let's just do first read on it.
yeah. And again, like I was looking at the change delta and was like,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
like
Well, it's also, a 25 to 50% as an expense too.
Significant.
It's
Yep.
pretty significant, so I'd like it to get a little more airtime,
sure.
personally, so.
And can I just jump in with one thing too? The special education services piece is not that black and white either, just so you know. And if you want further information on that, I can share that now or at another time or with policy committee. But it's not that black and white either, as far as who funds that
Do tell.
and when. Well, it's not that clear cut, but depending on the student's disability and the nature and the extent of their services, if we're accepting the student as a student, we may wind up owning some of those special ed costs. And I've run through this with our legal counsel and those pieces, so we are sort of accepting that to a certain extent. I can't give you it's case by case,
Sure.
depending on nature of what it is. There are times where we could go to the home district and say, X, Y, and Z, but that would be bigger discussions.
And it would be, for instance, like we offer a service in special ed that they don't offer, which could be a reason the child would come to our district anyway.
It
Right?
could be.
Okay.
It could be. But again, there would typically have to be a reason behind that too, usually, yep.
Well,
Babe, babe,
sorry,
I'm
go ahead.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, I was just going to comment that.
Yep.
So the special ed clause, and sorry, Carol, I know you kind of tried to close this. The special ed clause seemed cut and dry, and that does raise a concern for me a little bit of the like, okay, so if someone comes to the district and they require quite a bit of a special education resource, that greatly varies the tuition impact to some extent. And how that isn't cut and dry and how that we can adjust for it would be of interest.
So maybe don't do an accept on the second reading. Just saying.
I would say that is surprising to me based on what's written here on Roman numeral 4.
Yeah.
The quote from 186C, it says, all expenses incurred by a school district in administering the law in relation to education for educationally disabled children shall be paid by the school district where the child resides.
Yep.
So that, to me, indicated that that is not on us, it's on the child, or the child's home district. So maybe next month, you could clarify that for us a little bit, because maybe something needs, I guess because I would want to know then, and I don't know if we're allowed to know, like if somebody is asking to come in, how do we know if we're getting, what our expenses are going to be if that's not being disclosed to us, and I'm assuming they're not required by law to disclose that to us. It's all very confusing to me.
Yep, correct. And
I
so,
thought it was very clear.
yeah, it's nothing in the world of special education is very clear. So there are so many pieces, but yes, I'm going to have legal counsel chime in with some recommendations for that portion because, again, and it gets into very nuanced pieces, but it, and so I'm going to ask for their recommendation on what goes there, because there are things that are IEP team decisions. Let's say a student is identified while they're here. How we bring that setting district into the conversation when they didn't choose the placement. So there's a lot of different pieces to it that are nuanced. So I'm going to be getting advice, and we'll bring that to policy.
Thank you.
All right, so Jessica has those notes, so does Lauren, so they can sync on that. And just from a procedural standpoint, we cannot have those discussions outside of a motion on the floor. So next time, if you could, Jonathan, bring it up before the vote.
Got it.
As part of the discussion, if we can.
Did we
Thank you.
vote on closing that motion?
Yeah. We did, and then you brought that up about,
My brain failed. Yep.
calling you out, sir.
That's fine.
All right, moving on to policy IHBA. I will accept a motion to accept the second reading of policy IHBA, programs for pupils with disabilities.
So moved.
A second? Discussion.
So this is the policy that Lauren had presented to us in more detail last month. We have not made any changes to it since then.
This is pretty black and white. This is the law.
So I'm like, Jonathan, this is when you ask the question.
I actually had a different question.
So this is just identifying our programs for pupils with disabilities and what they consist of.
Yeah. This just explains the law of IDEA, which is special education, section 504, and Title II. So it explains in what that looks like for provision of services.
In section 1, bullet E, where is the statute 300-530? Is it New Hampshire statute, federal statute?
This, I believe, is federal. No, New Hampshire.
Okay, could we just get a clarifier?
Yep, I'm getting it right now.
Where is that?
E, letter E. It's under, they just provide a copy. It's under the New Hampshire procedural safeguards. Let me see what.
Letter E?
Letter
I'm
E.
sorry.
Yeah,
I thought that little squiggly was all federal.
I know, I'm looking.
that's how I knew it was a statute. I
think-
just didn't know which statute.
Yeah, we often
What does
have
CFR
live
stand
links.
for? What is that again?
Those are federal regulations.
Yep, that's
So
federal.
it is federal.
Yep.
Yeah.
Also known as a squiggly.
Yeah, it's federal. Yep,
Yeah.
it's federal.
That's a technical term. Is this something we need resolved to vote to accept the second reading tonight, or what are we?
I think the legal reference might be enough down at the bottom, honestly.
Yeah, it's
It is, yeah.
referenced down
Yeah.
below.
So, I think it was more helper text than anything else.
No problem. I just didn't know if we were waiting for it to be looked up for an answer to kind of resolve that.
No, it's helpful, the legal reference is down below, that's 34 CFR compliance.
Any other comments, questions on policy IHBA? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the second reading of policy IHBA, programs for pupils with disabilities? Excellent, thank you. Moving on to our next policy in question, I'll take a motion to accept the second reading of IHBAM, District Special Education Policy and Procedures Manual. Do you have the book?
I did not carry the book this month. It is safe and sound at the SAU office for anyone who wants to come take a look.
For anyone who didn't see the August meeting, it's a big one.
For the meeting,
So
we
so
had
the motion was made by Jessica.
So
I'll
moved.
I'll accept a second.
Second.
So there had been the minor discussion from last month was talking about did it make what was the right title reference to have this policy? Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, and we changed it to Director of Student Services. It felt like that was a better catch-all.
We did director/assistant.
Director /
You made it a slashy.
Excuse me, that is actually what is accurate. And then also we took out the word district manual and just changed it to manual.
Perfect. Any other conversation on this?
Number 1, it does say district.
Yes,
Okay.
We'll
that
take
didn't
that out for
get
the
fixed.
next time.
What is this?
Under the federal statutes, is there supposed to be a double squiggle?
Say that one more time, I didn't hear where you were.
Under the federal statutes section, under 20 USC,
Yeah?
is it supposed to be a double squiggle?
Let me see. I didn't write this one. I didn't.
We're gonna look at that. Thank
I'm
you.
not trying to be
looking it up.
nitpicky, but I saw the double squiggle and you said squiggle and it stuck.
We just like squiggles.
Yep, that's okay.
We'll look it up.
I'm dying. You guys are hilarious.
They're not ampersands, it'll be fine.
believe it only has to be one squiggle. From my lookup, but.
Okay.
But,
Jonathan,
but maybe we just want a little extra.
Yeah.
I was typing. Tell me again what your
Under the federal
I see.
statutes,
Thank you.
there's a
need
double
power?
squiggle.
I think I'm okay for the rest of our meeting. It's my screen, Jim.
I was gonna say it.
Everything is fine.
I have 20%.
Thank you, Karen. It's just gonna keep dimming on you. Here you go.
Thank you.
Gotta keep you powered up for policy talk.
That's right.
Okay. All right, any other questions on this one? Questions, commentary? Seeing none, we'll take a vote. All those in favor of accepting the second reading of IHBAM District Special Ed Policy and Procedures Manual? 500. Thank you. Next up, I will accept a motion to accept the second reading policy JICJ, Unauthorized Communication Devices.
Moved.
Second.
Discussion.
So this is our bell to bell. This is referring to bell law. And so this is our second time looking at this policy as a school board. But it is a new policy. In our last policy meeting, we had talked about there had been a parent that had provided the TAP survey and thought like that might be a good way for us to get data about what different stakeholders feel about this. And the principals thought about that was that people sometimes find surveys to be sort of intrusive and don't prefer them. And that there are times that when surveys feel like really essential, but that because there have certainly been some parents that don't feel great about this policy, but overall there hasn't been a ton of pushback to the changes, and so they didn't feel like we needed to be using surveys to get data from people, but that they felt like that would legitimately be a big tool if there were more concerns that started coming up. So those were that was our general note about that in the policy meeting. And then also we had just sort of confirmed in the policy meeting that this does not, because it is bell to bell, it does not address what happens on the bus. And so it doesn't make sense to be adding in references to the bus in the policy.
Looking at the changes that were made in section D, consequences of violations, I see that we have third offense.
Yes, I have a
and
note about
fourth.
that, actually. Yeah.
What'd you say?
I do actually have a note also about that.
Okay.
There was, I think after this policy got rolled out, and then also, there's been additional, I'm sorry, Carol, I think you were like, finish your thought there. I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine. I was just gonna say like a couple of cleanup items now that we made them singular
Yes.
and change it to just principal. So just move the possession to principal. And it was just more to call out that there were some more updates there on that. And then I was going to ask, is there a specific reason why a fourth consequence was added?
Yes. So the change was that in our policy manual for students that got rolled out after this
Handbook.
Excuse me, that student handbook had more specific guidelines than this policy had. This policy came up first, and then it was adjusted for the student handbook.
Gotcha.
And the principals felt like the consequences were more clear in the student handbook, and so wanted to have the policy reflect the consequences of the student handbook.
Got it. Thank you.
So, with the new additions to the policy, we now have a required to check in your device daily, but not a lot of details on responsibility, where that is, like, are we just, like,
That's with repeated misuse. So that would be after multiple
I totally get it.
conversations with the administration, requiring parents to come to school to pick up a device.
Yep.
So that's,
So we're at that point, the policy comes into effect. Instead of saying you can't just have this, we're saying in the morning they have to check it in. Like,
I understand. I think what he's trying to get to is where are they checking it in? Are they
Who's
giving it to a
responsible?
principal?
Yeah.
Yeah,
What's
so
the
that would be
liability? Is it getting
procedural.
locked up? Things
Okay.
like that.
yeah, that's not really what we want to put in the policy, because depending on the circumstances and the conversation that led us to this point, that might be a different answer.
Sure.
Yeah, perfect.
And that's totally fine. It was just I had known with a couple other districts, the check-in, maintenance, whatever of devices has been a big thing.
Yep.
And so now that it was in the policy, I was curious, and procedural is fine.
Yep.
I was just curious, like, okay, what are we signing up for?
I would imagine it would be a small number of students.
Absolutely, but
I do think it's
Especially
a
in
valid
this
question.
district.
Yeah.
yeah,
At
absolutely.
this age group.
I just am aware that once it's an actual policy, it's a policy. So I want to make sure for completeness.
Right.
Sure. Any other discussion on JICJ?
I will also just say, Anne, we had talked about in the policy meeting, your comment that it felt important for this policy that all of the adults in the building be on board, that would make this policy be easier to implement, versus having like some adults be like clear about implementing it and some adults not. And the principals felt like that was not going to, they felt like everybody really was, feeling on the same page about it.
That's great to hear. Not surprised.
Yeah.
Still great to hear.
Yeah.
Excellent. Final call for commentary on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the second reading of policy GICJ? Thank you. Continuing along with policies, I will accept a motion to amend JJJ-R, access to public school programs by non-public charter school and home educated students in its entirety by replacing it with the copy provided with the agenda, accept the third reading and adopt as amended.
So moved?
A second. Discussion.
I'm sorry to keep bringing it up, but you did it in some places and it was great. But in this one at the top, it still says non-public charter school. We just need a comma after non-public. I'm sorry.
We did talk about, our plan was to add
Yes,
a
there are some, in some of the, one of the other policies, it is there. It's just in this one, it's still saying, but I'm not in a non-public charter school.
And
I'm in a
honestly,
public charter
we
school,
did say that
you
we
know.
were going to change that, and it just
Yes.
didn't get changed.
No, I'm sorry to have to keep
No, I
saying
appreciate
it.
you saying it, Anne. That was the plan was that it be changed, so.
And that's it, everything else looks great.
We had talked about in the policy meeting changing the comma to a colon.
Yeah, I think that's best.
That was our plan. And it just isn't on this document in our important discussions about colons versus commas in the policy committee.
You know, it's punctuation matters. It's all good.
All right, so can you give us any
So we
any
changed,
insight since we're being asked to adopt tonight?
Just as a reminder that this policy then means that we are replacing these other two previous policies that will, are encapsulated here. So that's why we are rescinding IHGB and IHGBR once this is adopted. The other small changes that we had made is that we changed the word principal to administrator to give a little bit more flexibility in how the communication takes place in this.
Where did you make that change? Is at the top? Because I just see principal in section C.
Yep. I also see it in section C, and so I wonder if it didn't.
Yeah,
Get
actually,
changed.
Yeah, I'm seeing it.
That principle is underlined. It probably meant to be.
Because I changed it to administrator.
Yeah, so why don't we
I know that
potentially amend the motion to do third read, and we can bring it for fourth and adopt, because potentially the wrong version made it to the packet.
Because I made the correction to
Yeah.
administrator.
Okay, so that would require you just to withdraw your motion.
I would happily withdraw my motion.
Okay, and so I will accept. Do you want me to say it all for you, or do you want us to say it all?
I don't have that. I have my
I've
other
got you.
tabs
I've
open,
got
so
you.
I'll let you set me up.
I will accept a motion to amend JJR, JJJ-R, access to public school programs by non-public, charter school, and home educated students in its entirety by replacing it with the copy provided with the agenda, and accept the third reading as amended.
So moved.
Second.
So we'll plan to bring this as a fourth read with the correct version uploaded.
Perfect. All right, that said, are there any other, hold on, then we're gonna do a vote and then you can walk away.
Okay, we're supposed to vote on that, right?
Yep, seeing no other discussion? No discussion, right? All those in favor? 5-0-0. You may go. Thanks, Mom. Okay. I see. Do we need to do this rescind?
No, we can't do it now until the other one's adopted.
Got it, okay. Just double checking. Thought that felt weird. All right, moving on to our next one. I will accept a motion to amend policy, sorry, I'm looking at the outline. I will accept a motion to amend policy EH-R, public access to school district records, procedures for public access to district records, right to know requests. Amending number 6, copy fees by inserting per page following 15 cents. Accept the third reading and adopt.
So moved.
Second? Discussion.
So the change here is a small one, and also it is sort of notable, is that we are adding the language per page. So when you look at, let me just pull this up. When you're talking about, like, we had this conversation around, like, so how can you, what are we charging people to provide for records? And so it's 15 cents per page of photoing, and like just adding additional clarity there. And that also, we had discussed that for the way that would be relevant for electronic communication as well. So I think actually Dot on, I'm wondering about this, on 8, B, I think, do we also need to add there that it was 15?
I think that was already part of the last meeting because it's not per page there, it's per individual electronic communication.
But hadn't we talked about changing
Making it
that
per
to
page.
per page of electronic communication? Because we had said like one email chain could be a very long email chain that's like, potentially 30 pages, right? And so that we were going to say it was 15 cents per page of electronic communication. So I think that's the if I am remembering that correctly, that is where the change is most relevant.
Okay, we can add that.
I agree with that. I think
I
that is
agree
very
too.
relevant. So do we need to?
We can,
pull
that's
this
like
one
one,
back?
I think that's one minor change that makes it in line with
The other change that we
Spirit
called
of the
out.
other
the
one.
other change in section 6, so we can just adopt it with that change.
So would we need to change our motion to include that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Would you like to withdraw your motion, Jess?
I will withdraw my motion.
Okay. I will accept a motion to amend EH-R Public Access to School District Records Procedures for Public Access to District Records Right to Know requests by amending number 6 copy fees by inserting per page following 15 cents, and to amend number 8B by inserting per page after 15 cents before per individual electronic communication.
So moved.
Like, you guys are real fast. And then accept the third reading and adopt as amended.
Get that in there.
Let's.
So moved.
Zach. Conversation.
I think that this is like the change that feels like, the best way to capture our expenses here when we're providing digital communications.
Agreed.
I agree. We did discuss this a lot last time I brought forth to the page.
I think that was mention of it keeps it consistent with the co-op.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, no, the co-op changed it to 50 cents.
Oh, okay.
Is there a reason? I thought that we said we were capped at 15 cents because that's what the law was.
No, I think it's $1. 15 cents is what we have across the board in general when you have a records request. The new piece of the law was that the electronic right to know requests are so time consuming and labor intensive that they allowed us to finally, if you want to use that word, charge for them. And I believe it went up to $1. So co-op moved it to 50 cents.
Can we do that?
If you want to amend your motion again and make it third reading into policy, it's up to you.
I mean, yeah, I just feel like I actually was going to ask, like, when was 15 cents, determined, and hasn't there been a lot of inflation? But
I think it's based on the idea, if I'm just taking this stack, sticking it in the copier,
that's 15 cents.
15 cents a
But there's
page.
a lot of labor involved.
Correct.
So that's
Right.
work that people could be doing, time that they could be spending on other duties that actually impact the education of our students and don't just eat up their time and resources.
Correct.
So we would probably want to compensate the district for essentially donating the cost of that person's time to the request of the person who wants this information. Am I understanding that correctly?
So while I understand your point to some extent, I'll also note that as a public institution who we have citizens who do legitimately, not just for, statistical and other things, which has the same right, but if someone really wants to know the stuff, the public person or employee is providing that information. And I'm aware that it's intensive, but I don't want to just boost the number because it's intensive, because if someone is legitimately asking for these things, they should have the right to get them. That's the whole point.
Well, they do have the
Technically,
right, they
every
also
request
could use
is
a
a
thumb drive.
legitimate request because the legitimacy
Yes.
is in the eyes of the person making the request. So
Right.
without passing judgment on why they're requesting it, they are legally allowed to do so. What we have to be concerned with, in my opinion, is at what cost is that request to the district, whether it's something that somebody's trying to get to the bottom of something for their child, or a member of the community trying to figure out what was talked about at a meeting or something.
Yes.
Either way, it's taking a great amount of time of the employees that work for our district.
Yeah.
I don't think it's inappropriate to, Gina makes a good point. Here's a piece of paper, toss it in a copier, 3 seconds, you have your thing. 15 cents cheaper than probably what you can get at,
Yes.
Staples. Trying to go through the electronic electronic communication, the redactions, the everything.
Absolutely.
That takes an incredible amount of time. I don't view Anne's proposal as a punishment of that. It's a reflection of the effort that it takes to deliver on that request.
Right, and we don't get to delineate whether it's
Correct.
a time-intensive redaction or oh, yeah, I can get you a copy of that.
So I just want to,
What do you mean? Sorry, Gina, hold that. What do you mean by that, Jonathan? We don't get to
Well-
delineate between that.
Because, and bear
Because
with
the
me.
request is the request.
Yes.
Whatever the request is, we have to fulfill it. We can't
Yes.
say, this is a reasonable request, we're happy to do it, versus this is an unreasonable request.
Right,
we
you want a
to
copy
charge
that
money."
requires no input or effort to do, and I can just hand it to you. We don't get to delineate, even if it's a lot, we don't get to delineate the difference between that and I'm requesting this other thing that requires a heavy amount of redaction and effort on the staff's position.
Well, I mean, why?
We don't in the policy, correct?
I guess
So,
that's
can
what I'm.
what I
yeah,
wanted
is
to
that
point
what-
out- the
out
policy
is
just-
that we're allowing, if you recall, the first 250 communications free of charge.
Yeah,
So if
so
you're
we are
talk-
sort of,
so
yeah.
I'm not saying that, to Carol's point, one is legitimate and one's not.
Yeah.
But if you're asking for us to go back to 2020 and give us all communication,
Yeah.
that's probably not related to your child,
Right,
right? It might be for
which
a
is
different
what
purpose.
my point of the
So I don't think-
differences in the request.
Right. So I think those types of requests are within what's already allowed.
Yeah,
It's those that go beyond that we're saying at this point we have to start charging you because it's so labor intensive.
yeah, and
But
I
if
do
we feel
appreciate that,
strongly, we
'cause-
could review the 250, we could review the 15 and bring it back for a fourth read and ponder it further. We could also adopt it and then you can ask us for a report out in a year. How many times did we have to charge anybody?
Sure.
Because I'm going to be honest, most of the right to requests don't come to Hollis anyway. So it's not, we want to be consistent across the districts, but I just don't see it being as huge of an issue for the Hollis School District as it is for the others.
That's good information.
Yeah, and because of the summer and the multiple readings and whatever, I do appreciate the reminder of there is a buffer in the beginning for what my original comment of legitimate request, which is, I really meant focused requests, and not broad, long-standing requests, which is what the policy is here to protect against to some extent.
I
or at
thought
least
for some
help.
reason we were capped at 15 cents. I'm not sure how I was confused about that, but I was. I will also say, right, like it is explicitly my goal on the policy committee is that where we can and what's appropriate to have our policies be consistent across the districts. And so if co-op's policy is 50 cents, then
Brookline is 15.
yeah. I think
So-
I feel okay about 50 cents, but Carol has also shown, if you look at section 8B, I think we need to additionally in that spot add the word, excuse me, 8B, I, no charge shall be issued for the first 250 electronic
pages of individual
communication.
electronic communications.
Yeah,
Okay. So maybe,
So,
So I think we need to, I think we're making a few changes here, and
Yeah.
maybe it's better to do one more read.
yep.
so how do we proceed, Gina? Do we have to have her pull the amendments? Or do we vote it down and there's a new motion?
We could pull the motion again and then make a motion to read it for third read, no adoption, just like we did JJJR.
Yeah.
What would you like to do as the motion maker?
Let's do third read, no adopt.
So are you withdrawing or
I
are we
would-
voting it down?
I'll withdraw.
I'm not saying what anybody else is doing, by the way. I'm sorry. We can take a vote on this and see what happens.
Yeah, I would, as the person who made the motion and is on the policy committee, it makes sense to me to withdraw it.
Okay. So withdrawn. So I will accept a motion to accept the third reading of policy EHH-R, public access to school district records, procedures for public access to district records, right to know requests as amended.
So moved.
Second? Okay.
We got this on lock.
And I got through the
Now
whole,
we're voting it down because we want to discuss it.
Well,
Yeah.
correct. No, now you would be voting, yes, we accept the
For
third
it.
reading,
No.
we're not adopting.
yeah, we're accepting, not adopting.
Ah,
so,
That was the
got you.
difference in that
Okay,
motion.
so there'll be a fourth reading.
Correct, so fourth reading will come I'm assuming next month, so we can get this on the books.
Yep.
And it will have the different things that we've just discussed. But for formality, we can't have multiple motions on the table at a time.
So for being that guy, the amended copy stipulates the adoptions today. I'm assuming that the third reading as amended removes that line?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I now have a comment because we have a motion open, if that's okay.
I'm going to end you. I'm just
That's
kidding.
fine. Just remember, you have to replace me.
Take that.
It could be worse.
Go ahead.
So now that we're back into a motion, I do want to be clear that I personally do not have any negative appetite for going for the full $1. I don't have a negative appetite for being consistent on the higher side. You know, I heard you say that Brookline is 15 cents. It really was that concern of if as a citizen or entity you're requesting the FOIA and it's a focused request, I wanted to make sure that was still open, and as you commented, it is. So I just wanted to be clear on where I stood on things. I thought your comment of, yes, it costs us money, absolutely, you're right. So.
Awesome. Right. Anybody else commentary on this one? So all those in favor of accepting the third reading of policy EH-R? 500.
Thank you.
Thank you for your patience with that one, guys. I think it was good conversation, and I think this was the right move. All right, on to our next one. I will accept a motion to amend by inserting assistant superintendent following director in each instance it appears, accept the third reading and adopt policy IHBAB special education evaluations as amended.
So moved.
Second? Nice. Discussion.
We need to make one minor change, Carol.
Oh, man.
I know, but I could have sworn I said that. I could have sworn I said this at policy. I'm sorry if I did not. But the I in IE is actually independent educational evaluations. The word individual can stay there, but you need to insert independent before educational.
That's in B?
Letter B, and that's the only place it's referenced. The rest of the time, it is referenced as IEE
That is
in the policy.
so funny because I've always said individual.
It's an independent educational evaluation.
Wow. Oh, because the education evaluation. Got you. Because it's different.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's not a squiggly.
Okay, so would you like to?
So you have to. I can tell you the squiggly it refers to.
Okay, so
Where are we making that change?
Right
Number
in
two.
letter B,
right here.
where it says IEE in parentheses right before it.
Yeah.
And like I said, you could keep it individual. That doesn't matter because they will all be individual. So individual, independent
So insert the
educational
word
evaluations.
independent.
We're going to insert independent.
Okay.
Evaluation there.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
I was just gonna say, sorry to be nitpicky. You said you wanted to replace director with director/assistant superintendent in every instance. There is one more in 9 where it isn't. You have it correct, and then the next line you only have the director of student services is authorized to grant a waiver. If you want it to be a slash, we should probably put it there too. And that's it.
Good catch.
So, do we have to change this motion, or can it still be as amended even here in the meeting? Correct.
As amended is fine.
Because these aren't things that are, like,
No,
go
it's
back
not.
and discuss large
Yeah, no, they're not.
changes,
No,
That's
it's
correct?
not changing,
The context?
correct.
Okay.
In 9, Anne,
Yes.
what line in 9?
The last.
Last.
The very last
Okay,
one.
the Director of Student Services right there.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And that's it. That's my only edit.
Okay. Any other discussion points on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting third reading as amended?
And adopting or just accepting?
Oh, my bad. Accepting the third reading and adopting policy HIBAB. Excellent, thank you.
I got you. We did one! Yay!
Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Everyone should be thrilled. Should be a policy. When we adopt a policy, everyone should be thrilled. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gone. Great.
I'm bringing it. All right, our next one is policy KI. I just need to ask you a question. Are these your notes in here, in the outline?
Those are not my. I did not make any edits in the form, like I have my own notes.
Okay.
But I have not typed in any notes in the policies.
Do you see
don't
that
have
in
access to
the?
them.
These ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll use those.
Okay. Appreciate that. Do you need me to call them out in the motion?
Yeah, let's do that.
Okay. I will accept a motion to amend policy KI, school visitation and observation, in its entirety by replacing it with the copy provided with the agenda. Further amend in the 5th paragraph by correcting the spelling of "the" and replacing Brookline with Hollis in number 4. Accept the second reading, waive the third, and adopt as amended.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion.
Those actually were things I was gonna say, so that's great. Oh, good, looks right.
So item 3, just because we just went through it, doesn't have a /E for student services. It just has director of student services.
Yeah, we had talked about that in the policy meeting too.
So those are changes that we can do that in a couple ways. The board can determine that that is a change that doesn't impact the intent of the policies, and we can universally go through our policies. This was just at a training I just went to, and say that wherever it says Director of Student Services, we can change it with Director/Assistant Superintendent of Student Services without bringing every single policy forward.
I like that.
That's great.
Good
Yeah,
training.
That's great.
It was a solid 2.5-hour training, but I got that out of it.
Hey, that's worth the 2.5 hours, honestly.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
All right, so if that is okay, any other commentary? Seeing none, JK.
I'm sorry. In section 4, all observers must sign the Brookline School District receipt
yeah,
of
That's
for
the
policy.
amendment.
Am I reading the wrong one?
No, you
No,
are,
it's in, but it was
that was
already addressed in the motion.
in
We
the-
added that to the motion.
Oh, I'm reading something instead of hearing something.
Correct.
Got it.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I don't hear so well.
Huh?
I don't.
All right. Seeing no further discussion, let's take a vote to accept the amended policy KI, school visitation observation, second reading, waiving the third, and adopting as amended. 5-0-0.
Another one.
Motion carries.
Ring the gong.
All right, last policy. Let's do it.
Is this the last one?
Yeah.
Oh, yet another. We'll get there. All right, I'll take a motion to accept the third reading and adopt policy IKE, promotion and retention of students.
So moved.
A second?
Second.
Discussion.
So we had talked about in the last school board meeting, redshirting, and is that something that we should address here? And when we talked about that in the policy meeting, the principal said, redshirting is not, on one hand, it does feel like my anecdotal experience is that is something that I hear parents talk about, you know what I mean? And also the principal said it doesn't actually come up that often, isn't raised to them actually very often, and that they felt like that doesn't fit best under this policy. That was generally their perspective on that it didn't make sense to add language around that here.
Great. Any other discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor of accepting the third reading and adopting policy IKE? 5-0-0. Well done. The other two policies, for anybody following along with the agenda packet, were ones that would have been rescinded had a previous policy been adopted this evening, so they're on hold. They're not ones we're reviewing, just so you know. At this time, we are getting to the end of our time together. Do we have any need for non-public this evening?
Very short.
All right. We will need to go into non-public with a viva voce roll call vote. But I also need to do a motion. Do we know?
It's under C.
It's under C. Got it. I'll accept a motion that the board by roll call go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91-A:3, Section 2C to discuss a matter which, if discussed in public, would likely affect adversely the reputation of a person other than a member of the body or agency itself.
Moved.
Second? We'll start on the end.
Jonathan, aye.
Yeah, hi.
Jess, aye.
Carol Roy, aye. And we are now in non-public as of 7:48 p.m. We will not be performing any other business after that non-public. Once we come out, we will simply be adjourning. So at this time, we will end our transmission. Thank you so much for joining us.